Hi, I'm Avery Davidson.
And I'm Kristen Oakes White. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week. Well, we are now entering the prime season for Louisiana grown vegetables with squash, cucumbers, beans, and corn, all available at your local farmers markets.
Selling what they grow at the Red Stick Farmers Market in Baton Rouge has become a way of life for one St. Landry Parish farm family. They've been doing it for 20 years. With the ringing of the bell atop St. Joseph Cathedral, downtown Baton Rouge comes alive with people looking for freshness.
Am I ever so happy to find white squash?
You happy?
Betty Chenier is a freshness merchant.
I'm so happy.
I'm so happy. Oh, to make you happy, let me get you change.
For 20 years, she and her husband John have been selling their farm fresh vegetables and fruits at the Red Stick Farmers Market.
So what y'all have planned for the weekend?
It's here they cultivate relationships.
Cooking and eating? And what about drinking?
But it all starts just outside of Opelousas on their 40-acre farm.
When we got married, we grew small gardens, and then it just expanded to bigger gardens. When I was working out, I would sell like things to the people at the courthouse, a little okra and different things. And then after working out for 17 years, we decided that we would go try, to sell from home, try to sell, vegetables. And then we found out about this farmer's market, Red Stick Farmer's Market. And my husband said, John, he said, there's no way I'm going to Baton Rouge every Saturday. And we've been going now for 20 years.
Maybe John is used to not always getting his way.
Yes, ma'am.
A middle child with 21 brothers and sisters, John has always depended upon the land for life.
We raise our own food.
And to this day, he does not eat food from a grocery store.
We eat everything we grow, and we eat our own meat. And everything we grow, we preserve in season. Everything is about in season.
It was a blessing from God knowing that we could take a little tiny seed and put it in the ground and it produce, something that we can eat. And knowing that people really want this product and it make you feel real good about it.
Well, we have to go dig Irish potatoes today.
Back at the farmer's market, you see the good feelings form between farmer and customer. Feelings that have kept the Cheniers going through drought and flood.
So many times they've uplifted me and encouraged me with this farming when things weren't good. And, they've been there for us, in good and bad. And it's great. It feels so good to know that you have people who are so faithful and dedicated to Red Stick Farmers Market, and knowing that you are a part of that.
That's the greatest thing about shopping at a farmer's market, is connecting to the farmer who grows your food. And Betty and John, they're just so wonderfully kind-hearted, and they think about the people they're serving, and they are really excited about having people choose their fruits and vegetables because they know them.
Knowing that people really care, and you see some people come with little children, and now they're grown adults and they're still coming at the market, and it is a blessing.
Like John said, it was a blessing spending the day with the Cheniers. I can tell you they really know how to keep a 4-year-old occupied on the farm. My son Luke was out there. Right now, the Red Stick Farmers Market is in the middle of its Fresh Fest 2017. 10 weeks of themes at the Farmers Market. The remaining 8 weeks are up on your screen, with the Cheniers really shining through on June 24th, since that's corn and squash-tastic. But they'll also represent July 25th, well, everything eggplant, and July 22nd, cool as a cucumber. And Kristen, I had some of their cucumbers, and they gave me a couple of eggplants, and I made an eggplant dressing with that. And then I ended up, by the time I was done with the meal, I didn't realize it until I had already cooked it. Everything I had in the pot, with the exception of the meat, was from St. Landry Parish.
Well,
every bit of it, including the rice.
You missed out because I had an entire sink full of squash and zucchini that I grew that I was going to bring to you guys, and I forgot it at home. But I will tell you this, you have to become creative if you have a garden, because there's only so many different ways I have found to cook squash and zucchini. So.
Well, if you want to go and check out all those cool things over at the farmers market, you can go to our website at twilatv.org. It will have all of the dates listed there.
Check that out.
Craft breweries have been quite popular in states such as Washington, California, Colorado, and even our neighbors in Texas. However, Louisiana, sad for me, is late to the game.
According to the Brewers Association, we ranked 41st in craft breweries in the nation in 2016. But that trend seems to be changing. This week, TWILA's Carl Wiggers shows us how one Louisiana brewery is putting its stamp on the craft beer world.
Before you can enjoy a glass of your favorite beer at Parish Brewing, a lot of work happens here in the brewery to bring that flavor to your lips. This is the last step of the process under this roof. However, this is not where this beer began.
One of the most popular beers here at Parish Brewing is Canebrake. It's the original. It's the first beer that Andrew Godley, the owner, conceived and started to brew in his own garage 7 years ago right here in Broussard, Louisiana.
Got the brewery started in my garage, and I was brewing little 5-gallon batches. I'd have 12, 13 batches going on at once, trying different things. I was brewing Canebrake back then, trying to perfect the recipe.
Canebrake is the product of Godley's love of beer, his chemical engineering degree, and countless acres of sugarcane that surround his hometown. He would take his dog for a run through the cane fields around his house and plan what we know today as Parish Brewing.
Sugarcane just like popped. It was just obvious this is a major Louisiana staple, and so I immediately started brewing beers with sugarcane in it. It makes Canebrake a very unique, one-of-a-kind beer. I don't think there's another beer in the world that's made with sugarcane syrup like that. And it uses a straight-up Louisiana, 100% local product.
That product is this cane syrup, produced only 10 miles away. Leslie Ferguson is a longtime fan of Parish Brewing and works here in the tap room. She says her guests are always excited to hear a name they recognize being used in a beer they love.
And people are always really interested and really excited about the idea that we do not only use Louisiana products, but that it's a name that they recognize. Everybody recognizes Steen's cane syrup.
Not only is it unique and differentiated in the grand scheme of beer, but it's truly local. Nobody can make a beer more local than Canebrake.
But by us being a local company and using local products, it brings it more at home. People feel more comfortable. It just doesn't seem right that we would be a local company without using local products.
The local people understand the product. They know what sugarcane syrup is because it is a part of our local culture, the sugarcane farming and sugarcane syrup. People use Steens on their pancakes all the time around here.
In a way, Parish Brewing began while Godley was working off in Pennsylvania. That's where he experienced a craft beer culture unlike anything back home in Louisiana.
I came back home to Louisiana and realized there was a big opportunity missing, and that I thought entrepreneurially it would be a good idea to start a brewery. At that time, there was only a Beta.
Godley knows that Louisiana consumers love to eat, drink, and have a great time. But those consumers also want quality. And that's what his local brewery is bringing to the table.
Local beers are always the freshest beers. And the freshest beers are always the best beers.
Godley plans to expand the brewery in the near future so they can continue to brew up the Canebrake that put them on the map, but also to produce more beers that customers like myself crave. If you're now craving a taste for yourself, you can learn more about Parish Brewing at our website, twilatv.org, and we'll link you over to their website and social media as well. And you guys, if you're ever in the area, Avery, I know you find your way over that way pretty often, you've definitely got to go by and try a beer straight from the tap there in their tap room.
I have a sneaking suspicion that he will find his way there.
Well, we only have 28 minutes, 30 seconds for this show, so I don't want to talk too long about craft beers. However, I am so happy to see the craft beer craze getting to Louisiana. When I went and interviewed Carlos Knott over at Bayou Teche Beer, he was talking about how when he was in Europe in the Army, every city you went to had its own brewery and had its own flavor. And we're starting to get to that point with Louisiana because we've got NOLA Brewing, Tin Roof, Crying Eagle, Great Raft.
And a Beta.
Yeah, and a Beta, Flying Tiger. I can just keep naming, and Parish. And all of them do really great stuff. That's what's amazing. And they all have their kind of unique niche that they fit.
Yeah, and Canebrake has really helped to Parish Brewing to find their niche, and it's really helped them to get on the map, like I said. But one of the other things that's neat is we're starting to see maybe some attempts at growing hops here in Louisiana. So that might help, if we can find their cascade as they're hoping they can grow here. If they can get that going, maybe that'll help to boost the industry even more.
Well, you already have steamed syrup in the cane break, so having all local ingredients in a beer. There are some who are using rice, like a Flying Eagle.
Yeah.
A Crying Eagle, rather, is using Louisiana rice in their beer, so really, really cool.
Something to look forward to, hopefully.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Carl Wiggers.
Well, something that we also do very well is great food flavors. And Chef Corey Barr from Monroe is a homegrown chef who loves to cook with local ingredients. He's about to put Washtenaw Parish on the culinary map again. The Food Network Chopped Champion is now the contestant on the new season of the next Food Network Star.
TWILA's Tammy Arender got a chance to visit with Barr about why he loves to use homegrown ingredients from the Gulf to the farm field.
Corey Barr of Monroe sharpened his cooking skills in his grandmother's kitchen, not a culinary school.
You know, being a southern boy, I was raised by my grandparents, and you know, my grandmother always set the table well, and we always, you know, had our best times around the table, sharing stories, you know, what happened that day, good, the bad, the ugly, all that right there around the table. But mostly my grandparents instilled a sense of hospitality.
It's that southern hospitality, along with a passion for Louisiana homegrown ingredients, that's inspired Barr to reach for the stars in the culinary world and let people know great food can be found in other places of the Bayou State than just the Big Easy.
Everyone thinks they have the it factor.
Cooking great food is my thing.
Out of hundreds of entries, this self-taught chef was chosen to be a contestant on the national show Next Food Network Star.
I love New Orleans, but Monroe is home, and having pride of place is something that that is part of my foundation. So when I got there, I didn't cook New Orleans food. I cooked food from my home, what I'm used to, what I love.
Food Network Star puts 12 unknown chefs through an intense, pressure-filled competition for 2 months. The winner gets their own show on the Food Network. Participants must showcase their ability to cook, but also master the art of talking to camera at the same time.
Take 352. We're doing some smoked pork shoulder for a pop-up out here at Rolla Roaster. It's 523 Desert. We're doing these a couple of days a week, just having some fun, bringing cool food to downtown.
The competition is over, and Corey's back in Monroe running Heritage Catering. He's not allowed to say if he won Next Food Network Star. We'll find out when the new season begins on June 4th. But one thing we do know, Corey will wow the country with his culinary creativity and craftsmanship.
New flavors are really what interest me, and I love to take our local ingredients, whatever's in the garden, whatever I'm seeing from my fishermen, you know, and really use that, you know, in new and exciting ways.
Whether Barr becomes the next big thing on Food Network or not, we know he's caught the attention of major players in the food industry, all because his grandmother gave him a deep-seated desire to be hospitable and to follow his dream.
It's just determination and not being willing to take no for an answer. You know, just like you see the revitalization of downtown Monroe, and really the more each and every day our community gets more and more vibrant, and it's because people just don't take no for an answer. You forge ahead, and if you believe in something, you do it, and that's what I've done.
The Next Food Network Star premieres Sunday, June 4th at 8 p.m. on Food Network. It airs each Sunday night till the last contestant is standing 12 weeks later. There's another contestant from Louisiana, Toya Bodie from New Orleans. This week we begin a 3-part series profiling the finalists for the 2017 Louisiana Farm Bureau Young Farmer and Rancher Achievement Award. The winner will be announced during the 95th annual meeting of the Louisiana Farm Bureau in New Orleans.
And we're kicking off our series in Abbeville, Louisiana at the farm of Natasha Stelly. Natasha and her husband Adler farm 2,800 acres of rice, crawfish, and cattle in addition to running their own seafood business. Natasha says their deep-seated passion for agriculture fuels the success of this family farm. One part crawfish, an ounce of ingenuity, add a pound of faith, and mix with a heaping helping of hard work. This is the secret recipe behind the Stelly family farm.
That's what we do. You can't come into farming and not want to work. You know, you have to be so compassionate about everything behind it, you know. Can't be lazy, for sure.
Natasha Stelly has a hand in every part of this operation. From checking traps to filling sacks, she works side by side with her husband Adler and her 3 daughters to manage all of the day-to-day chores on their 2,800-acre rice and crawfish farm in Vermilion Parish.
She manages the restaurant totally. She does all the paperwork for the farm, for the crawfish bind-up. She cooks. She helps weigh crawfish if I need her to help weigh crawfish. If I need somebody on the tractor, she's coming and she's driving the tractor also, you know what I mean? There's no way I'd be doing this without her.
It's not a 50-50. It's you put 100 and I'm putting 100, and that's how you have to get it done.
In the last 15 years, Natasha says a flood of challenges from Mother Nature to fickle market prices forced the Stellys to find new ways to keep the family business afloat.
It flooded our rice, so we said, well, we're going to have to try to make sure that we start selling crawfish earlier. We're going to have to start preparing our, you just have to think of ways, and it has to be fast.
Fast and fresh. A simple idea sparked a successful new plan. Deliver a product straight from the farm directly to the consumer.
It's not only good for us, but it's good for the customers. You don't have to worry about how long has this product been on the shelf for. They get that fresh product, and I mean, then they get to see what is actually happening. You know, they show up over here, we selling shrimp, they see all the work that goes into it. You have a good product, and we're selling it a lot cheaper than what you would pay for it in the market.
By selling the raw product from the dock at their farm and boiling seafood at their drive-through stop in town, the Stellys cut out the middleman and delivered a better product for their customers.
To know that I'm actually feeding people, and just knowing how much work we put into that, and they loving it.
While Natasha finds joy in feeding the community with the fruits of her labor, she finds fulfillment in feeding the seeds of the future.
They understand that this is not easy. But even though it's not easy, it's rewarding at the same time. You have to want it. You can't just come out here, yeah, I'm gonna farm. Because if you say it like that and you don't feel it, you're not gonna succeed. You have to feel it. I couldn't even imagine going and getting another job. This is a way of life for us now.
The winner of the 2017 Young Farmer and Rancher Achievement Award will receive a $40,000 credit for the purchase of a new vehicle of their choice.
Next week, we will travel 250 miles north to Caddo Parish, where we will introduce you to our second finalists, Jacob and Carrie Rumbaugh. A disease which poses a threat to Louisiana's $300 million a year crawfish industry is getting national attention. The disease is called white spots syndrome virus, named because of the white spots that sometimes form on the shell of crustaceans. According to experts at the LSU Ag Center, the disease first showed up in Louisiana 10 years ago, most likely brought over with shrimp from China and Thailand.
While the disease poses no harm to people who eat infected crawfish, it does kill older crawfish in the ponds and could reduce a farmer's yields. Dr. Greg Lutz with the LSU Ag Center Aquaculture Research Station says the concern is for how this could affect the future of the crawfish industry.
In the pond where it does hit and you've got a serious outbreak, you're looking at, going from maybe 600 pounds per acre total harvest to down to maybe 150, 200 pounds for the whole season. And the bad thing is most of those losses are going to occur after that farmer has already spent money on pumping, spent money on his boat, in his traps. And so it really puts you in a negative position.
Lutz says those who raise and catch crawfish can normally tell the infected crawfish by how sluggish they are in the trap, if they're not dead already. Experts suggest crawfish farmers clean their boats between ponds to prevent spreading of the disease.
I know a lot of people are always concerned when something can affect their crawfish.
Yes.
Coming up after the break, being a farmer or rancher is already a tough job by itself.
AJ Savine brings us the story of one rancher who has more than his fair share of obstacles to overcome. Stay with us.
Before you sweeten your morning joe, before the icing on the cake, before the sugar hits the shelf, it begins with a family of sugarcane farmers dedicated to growing Louisiana for more than 220 years. The Sugarcane Growers of Louisiana, making life sweeter, naturally.
Sugarcane, sweet sugarcane.
I now hope they're fighting today.
I hope they are. Put a Dorito on here.
Find your place in the country and the lender who can get you there. Find Louisiana Land Bank. Financing for country homes, recreational property, farms and ranches, and agribusiness.
For anyone who has a passion for agriculture, learning how to overcome obstacles comes with the job. However, for socially disadvantaged or minority farmers, obstacles on the farm can often become insurmountable because of limited resources.
This week, TWILA's AJ Sabine shows us how a West Baton Rouge cattleman has learned how to rise above these limitations on his ranch, much to his success.
In 1985, West Baton Rouge Parish cattleman Harrison John Lewis inherited a few acres of land that would eventually grow into a dream to feed folks like you and me from what he produces.
It's important to me because it allows me to be able to manage animals, grow them, and then be able to feed the public with what I produce.
A carpenter by trade, Jean Lewis has overcome the hurdles of being a small, limited resource cattleman by thinking outside the box.
I went to an intensive grazing class. I went to one. Had to pay a little money to be able to go to it. And I said, well, if I'm going to deal with animals, I need to know how to manage them, or what to do to manage them, and what they need so that I could be successful in doing what I was doing.
Additionally, Jean Lewis has partnered with the USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service. Through its cost-sharing programs, he's able to maximize grazing on his small 5-acre tract.
From what the spec says on animals per amount of ground that I had, I could only have 5 animals on this place.
Because his passion for agriculture powers John Lewis through obstacles such as poor drainage, it's his relationship with the next generation that ultimately makes his cattle ranch successful.
What I do is I welcome any young man or woman that would like to come work on the farm, experience working with animals. I welcome them to come by, and I will give them all the information that I've learned from the seminars that I've gone to and the pasture walks that I've gone through.
That focus on education has propelled Harrison John Lewis to uncommon success. For This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm AJ Sabine.
Harrison John Lewis is also a graduate of the LSU Master Farmer Program. If you want more information on LSU's Master Farmer Program or Master Cattleman programs, log on to our website at twilatv.org.
Coming up, plowing fields each spring costs farmers money. You know, the gas to run the tractors.
For one farmer, it might cost almost $3 million in fines. We'll tell you why right after the break. What's trending online? It now apparently costs $3 million to plow your wheat field in California. John Duarte, a farmer in Red Bluff, California, bought 450 acres there and plowed the field to grow wheat. He knew the fields had wetlands on them with pools that had the endangered fairy shrimp on them, so he hired a consulting firm to make sure the plowing wouldn't harm them. Duarte also wanted to follow all of the many regulations required by federal and state officials, including the Army Corps of Engineers. The Army Corps even conceded that Duarte's actions did not harm the shrimp.
So far, so good, right? Wrong. The Corps sent a cease and desist letter to Duarte for not filing the correct permits, demanding $2.8 million in fines for violating the Clean Water Act, despite the act exempting farmers from work exactly like this.
Duarte has sued and the Corps has countersued, with the judge siding with the Corps. The case is now in appeals, but has many people concerned that this could set a precedent for both exorbitant fees and unnecessary interference with farmers on just how they grow food.
The story generated a lot of talk on social media, as you might expect. There's even been a GoFundMe site started to help Duarte with his legal fees. You can find a link on our website at twilatv.org.
Well, now moving on to this week's TWILA Trivia. Last time our question was, on average, which animal has better vision than most humans? And the correct answer is B, eagle. This week's trivia question is, what percentage of U.S. grain exports move through Louisiana? Is it A, 15%, B, 40%, or C, 60%?
To enter this week's trending trivia contest, simply log on to your Facebook or Twitter account and post your answer with the hashtag TWILA Trivia, or you can always submit your answer on our website at twilatv.org.
Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. Next week, we'll have the next installment of our Young Farmer and Rancher profiles coming from Caddo Parish with Jacob and Carrie Rumbaugh.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online. Also, be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check out our stories on Snapchat. We are everywhere you are online.
Well, thanks for watching. We hope to see you again right here next week.